Believe, and that's why I'm a buyer now and have been, because I think the door is going to close at some point. Because, as you well know, there's just not enough metal out there, that's going to be able to meet demand. So I think before it gets to 5,000, it's just my own personal feeling, I think they're going to put restrictions on it or make some kind of a peg that's going to keep it at that level. They recalled gold once before in the 30s, and they could do it again now in 2010. Matter of fact, interesting you mentioned that. Just before I took this call, we're finishing up our Autumn Trends Journal. I mentioned what's going on in Europe with all of the strikes going on. And they're looking at it as a one-dimensional issue, as though it's economic, but it's bigger. It's revolution. It's revolution. It's three-dimensional. It's being played out in Technicolor live. Turn on the TV tonight. You'll see it. Not on the U.S. stations, but the other ones. Because it's revolution, then it's going to be followed by war. We're in the 1930s all over again. And that's the way we're looking at it. Because you know what else you have going on, Chris? You also have these nationalistic parties forming. All the pieces are coming together. Is there a Hitler yet or a Mussolini? Well, Berlusconi's not the greatest guy. When you look at what's going on, even in Sweden, they just elected a strong anti-immigration platform. So you're going to start seeing the rumblings very similar to what's going on in the 1930s. This is the summer of the grasshopper and the ant. The summer is ended. The grasshoppers believed in the summer of recovery. The ants are the ones that are going to be able to survive the economic winters that are ahead of us. We believe, unless the trends are reversed, and unless the people take action, stand up, and really speak out, we're going to go, we know we're going into the greatest depression. We're very concerned it's going to be followed by the Great War.
Generally speaking, though, Gerald, I'm sure you'd agree that most of those dislocations and wars that erupted, there was huge unemployment, and that lack of income left people feeling like they had no alternative other than to grasp for whatever they could find, and then that's where those dictators seem to have risen to power. Do you see something similar this time?
Well, you know my saying, when people lose everything and they have nothing left to lose, they lose it, and that's what's going on. I call it fascist. And fascism, by the way, has come to America. You look what's going on now with these new laws being put in place, the new wiretapping laws, email tapping laws.
They can walk right onto your property now, the feds, and put a GPS right on your bumper. And in L.A., Gerald, this story just broke this week, they have a little dart gun. The police officer behind you can shoot a GPS dart onto the bumper of your car using a laser beam, and it stays active for up to 3 days.
No, I didn't know that. But I knew about them being the courts allowing them to put GPS signals under our cars. So you can't call it socialism, it's fascism. And that's the mistake people are making. It's the merger of state and corporate powers at every level. AIG, Citigroup, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, let's go down the list. It's the merger of state and corporate powers. You have a handful controlling virtually everything in virtually every field, from pharmaceutical to the media, to retail, to banking. You just go down, agriculture, you go down the list. So what we're saying is that we're looking at the 1930s in very, very, very stark ways. You see it in front of us. So people should be very aware of what's going on. And as you've heard me say this before, we believe there's going to be a bank holiday, and they're going to use some kind of reasoning to make it happen. Whether it's a terrorist strike, and now we know terror alerts are going up again. Whether it's a financial crisis, such as gold skyrocketing past the 2,000 mark. Whether it's a meltdown on the thinly traded stock markets, something that's going to cause a national emergency. And you mark my words, Chris, when that national emergency happens, just like they did it under Bush when they got 92% of the people in favor of attacking Afghanistan. The vast majority will support the commander-in-chief.
When you talk about them sort of suspending the trade of precious metals, and of course there is always that secondary market like eBay, by putting a portion of the typical listener's wealth and portfolio into gold and silver, physical bullion, at least they'll be crystallizing their wealth so that when this blows over, and maybe there is another world war, as you're alluding to, but once that passes, at least there will be a nest egg to build upon.
You know, when 9/11 happened, I was prepared for it. I wrote about it, and you can look it up. Go to our website, December 14th, 2000. Go to our forecast list. You see 9/11. The USA Today did a story 9 months before on December 14th, 2000. I wrote 2001. They wrote 2001 won't be our year, Trent Sear says, and I warned of a wave of anti-Americanism and that Americans wouldn't be safe at home or abroad. And I've been writing about terror. So when 9/11 happened, I had my gold, I had my guns, and then I was ready to leave if they hit the Indian Point nuclear power plant 45 miles north of New York City. You know, I was going to head north because I know this area. And people, all we're saying is prepare for the worst. If the worst doesn't happen, you didn't lose anything. If the worst happens and you're not prepared, then you lose everything.
Well, listen, you've been very generous with your time. So as this discussion comes to a close, I wonder if we could talk a little bit about this 22% unemployment rate that you've talked about in some of your previous Trends Journal reports. Of course, this is the estimate from the U6 number that John Williams at Shadow Stats refers to, and it's based on this official government methodology from the 1980s. This translates into roughly 34 million Americans out of work. That's untenable. Another 43 million on food stamp cards. Everyone thinks everything is okay, but really that comes out to 1 in 8 Americans relying on the government to put food on the table.
And again, let's look global. What are the unemployment rates over in Spain? They're over 20%. You're looking at young people between the ages, I believe, like something like 18 to 25. It's like 56%. Now you have these, young guys, with nothing to do other than having time on their hands. You have a volatile situation. You go throughout Europe, it's like that. And then you hit the places in the Middle East, the same thing, Egypt, Jordan, other countries. So you're looking at a very volatile situation. By the way, I want to make this offer. We're very concerned about being led into the next great war. And I say this because when all else fails, that's what they do. They take you to war. So for all listeners out there, you don't want to subscribe, fine, but contact us. Tell them they heard me on your show, and we'll give them the Spring Trends Journal, which is all about the Great War and how to prepare for it for free. We want to stop this war before it happens. We want people to be aware. If the people rise up and stand up and learn enough, it doesn't have to happen. The future is in your hands.
Exactly right, because there's considerable evidence, mounting evidence, Gerald, that the powers that be are doing their very best vis-a-vis the New World Order to reduce the population by up to 90 to 95%. And what better way to do it than full-scale world war?
Yes, unfortunately. So that's why we're making the Trends Journal available. The Spring Trends Journal, just go to our website, trendsresearch.com, go to the contact form and, hit the thing, and our staff will send it out to anyone. This is our bread and butter, but we don't care because it's more important that people are aware of what's happening and take proactive measures not only to secure their own safety, but to stop this atrocity from moving further. Listen, as we're talking, they're sending Predator drones into Pakistan. Those are called extrajudicial killings, and they're always killing, quote, suspected militants. What's suspected? All of a sudden, suspected means guilty? So you're going to have blowback here, and the wars are spreading. We want to stop it before it's out of control.
It's what they call collateral damage, Gerald, and you're right, nothing but blowback. Gerald, as always, it's a real pleasure hearing your thoughts, and hope that you will return soon to the show.
Oh, I always love being on with you, Chris. Thank you.